Good evening, everybody. It's Wednesday, 6:30 p.m., November 4th. Price of Bitcoin currently at 14,175-ish. Um, Again, we took a short position somewhere around these candles right here. All right. And I was looking for this thing to start breaking down. And if at all it came back to this, 14,140, 150 level, I was hoping for a rollover to the downside. Um, but that didn't happen, right? In fact, we actually closed two consecutive 1 hour candles above that key marker. So what that's telling me right now is, at least in this area, the bears may not be done yet. The damage may not be completely inflicted. Um, I'm sorry, the bulls may not be done yet, and the bulls, putting up the damage on the bears may not be finished yet. So it's possible that maybe we make another move up here, maybe slice up a little bit higher towards 14,300, maybe 14.5. Because here's the thing, right? If we start throwing up some pivots on there, this weekly pivot that we see, the R1, that's around 14,336. Okay. So that is definitely a level that we should be paying attention to. If you want to scalp long, I would probably say that's a level that you can maybe take a target profit into. Okay. Your stop would probably have to be maybe down here, maybe below this, wick of this 1 hour hanging man looking candle, this one right here. But that is how I would play a scalp long position. Okay. I just closed down my short because, again, it did not satisfy the criteria and the conditions that we were looking forward to, which was, we were hoping that we would get a breakdown past the 14,150 level right over here and then roll over to the downside. First, we of course got this big candle, which is where we shorted. And then, this candle right here, which seemed to be nice and bearish, but again, no follow through, push the upside, right? Again, we don't really mind that. Again, on the short side, I've made it abundantly clear that on the short side, I'm not going to be taking big positions. I'm initially going to open them with maybe 0.5% capital, maybe 0.75 like I did today, but I don't want to add on the way up. Why? Because I really don't know how high this market is going to go before it rolls over. Okay. So if I get to catch, maybe such a strong rejection wick, and if there's no follow through to the downside, like after this rejection wick, we pop back up. If I don't see what I need to see in the market, I'm just going to get out. Right. In fact, what I would then further do is I'd say, okay, now let me see if I can maybe get some scalp long opportunities or some general long opportunities. Okay. So at present moment, I'm flat, right? I got no position in the market in terms of Bitcoin. Closed out my short position right here and just a tiny bit of profit. Honestly, some of the fees themselves kind of brought this down to about 0.15% ish. So not that big of a deal. But in any case, it's always good to get out of the market with a small scratch whenever you can. Okay. So as per the pivots, okay, we know we have a new daily candle, right? So the new daily candle, we have new pivots set up. Keep an eye for those of you who are going to stay up later through the night and maybe even through the evening or nighttime in the Eurozone or Africa. Keep an eye on this pivot, okay? See if price comes back to this area, taps it, and if it holds this area, and this is 13,988 on BitMEX, if it holds it, I wouldn't be surprised if we start pushing back up, tomorrow, or even the day after towards 14.3, because that's a pretty solid risk reward trade, right? So for example, what I'm effectively saying is, look for this thing to roll over, bounce. And by the way, I'm not saying blindly just buy the pivot. I'm saying wait for this thing to bounce, right? Wait for this thing to kind of pop up like this. And in fact, you can even say, okay, I will wait for the pivot to be hit like this. Then I want to see price climb above this marker right here, which is the 14,135, 140 marker. If it does that, I'll add on some more to my long position and take that trade towards that 14,300 to 14,400 area as a long position. These are the scalps, in my opinion, that are available to us at present moment. Um, I don't think that there's really a shorting opportunity yet. Maybe right at the R1, if you are, bold enough to short right into this R1, go for it. But the bigger sort of development that I'm seeing in all of this is, of course, the divergence that's building, right? The 12-hour bearish divergence that's building, price kind of still, grinding in that overbought area on the 12-hour time frame, especially the daily time frame. We're still going through this cleanup of the bearish divergence as well as the overbought signals up here, and price continues to keep grinding higher and higher. Even when this candle was way the hell down here on the daily perspective, you could see price just got closed up higher. So the bulls are kind of once again, creating this running flag, right? I've explained this before. Generally, you have flags where you have maybe something like that, or a flag where you have slight bend. Both these generally try to pop out of here, but then sometimes, on rare occasion, you get a flag pull like this, and then you just get a running sort of flag-like movement where price just keeps moving higher and higher and higher, and at some point, right? You just get a big pop up out of this. But the thing about this kind of flag that's developing here is it's developing on conditions that are, number one, not quite suitable on the daily or 12-hour time frame with this bearish divergence building. Very exhausted RSI, and also just generally, right, in the daily time frame, we're coming into channel high, a key resistance area, which is this 14,000 marker that came back from June 2019. So all in all, I don't really know if I want to be aggressively longing here, because it's like basically longing to hardcore resistance. you know I guess one could make the argument that, well, how is this resistance if we've kind of spent so much time grinding in this area? I mean, that's a fair argument, but the point is, it's not really broken, right? We're kind of just hovering around 14,000. Sometimes we come down to 13.6, 13.8. We pop up to 14.2, 14.3. So it's a whole lot of choppiness here with no definitiveness of this being broken to the upside. Okay. And as for the OBV right here, all right, it looks pretty good. So that's kind of undeniable, but this is BitMEX. So I want to check out OBV on Coinbase, and let's see if that's different at all. Okay, so even OBV on Coinbase, not really that different. So I think what this is kind of telling me is, okay, well, there's really no discrepancy in terms of money flows that are going into Bitcoin, as well as the directional movement, of Bitcoin continuously going up. And so this kind of tells me that if we do get a pullback, or if you want to long, I think it's probably safe to long with the conditions that I stated earlier. You can take some scalp longs, stop down here or stop over here into this R3. And if you think that we're going to pop up higher, let's just say towards R2, way the heck up here, which is around 14,900, that's a pretty solid risk to reward, right? Because if you're taking that trade, okay, so we are right here. Let's just say you put a stop, below even this wick. Well, if you're aiming for this target, I mean, that's a 3.91 risk to reward. Even over here, that's a 0.96, not too bad. Okay. The other interesting thing that happened, all right, dominance actually came down for one of the fewer days as Bitcoin went up. Remember, Bitcoin actually went up today. It broke through a key resistance area as dominance slightly closed down. That's not a big deal, but again, we always got to be vigilant and make sure that it's possible that we might start seeing some reversals coming in dominance, and maybe some topping that's happening in BTC. And topping, what I mean by topping is, as price gets higher and higher, maybe it starts losing its momentum. Maybe it starts, moving sideways and does this BART thing, and then it starts rolling over. And as it starts rolling over, maybe dominance rolls over, and then maybe on the flip side, ETH now that it's broken out of this trend line, maybe ETH starts breaking up higher and higher. So these are the things that you want to pay attention to as some of the conditions in the market kind of shift. Okay. Um, Going into altcoins again, you know, I think it's if you're long right now in ETH, let's just say from anywhere down here, I think it's totally fine. You may even get an opportunity at the retest of this pivot. This is the weekly pivot. That's around 393, 394. Okay. So if you want to leave some buys overnight and you think that ETH is going to give you that buy signal or it comes back to sort of, come into this pivot and you want to be long ETH because it broke out of this trend line, I think that's totally fair. Right. Um, at present moment though, the way I'm looking at ETH, it's had many candles like this. Okay. And many movements to the upside where you would think that okay, maybe this is where ETH is going to break out when it started, pushing up like this, or when it did this thing and it popped up way over here and then rolled back over, right? So you can see it's done that numerous times over the past, 12, 15 days, but really no follow through. So what I want from ETH and what I want from altcoins is follow through. And that follow through doesn't really come by itself, right? It happens to come from the form of dominance coming down, maybe Bitcoin prices moving sideways and then slightly rolling over. Some of that money rotation goes back into altcoins. But it looks like there might be something happening in ETH, right? So it's a positive sign. It's something in development and it's something that we need to pay attention to. And I think that's good enough, right? It's good enough to say, you know what? Let me now refocus my attention to altcoins. Because before the last 12, 15, 18 days, it was a bit punishing to be in altcoins. It was kind of just boring to watch and just to see altcoins go down further and further. But now we see some exciting moves. And who knows, like I said, we might be coming into an area where, all right, now we might want to jump back into altcoins. Okay. Again, ETH is still relatively away from this 415 resistance level. All right. So if you think that you want to add here where ETH is right now, 403, just so you don't miss out that big move to 415 or 440 or 500, then you can buy ETH right now with a stop below these wicks right here, which is around 370 or 375. The other way you can sort of play this is like this. All right, so let's do this. Let's close this out. Let's close out the pivots right here. All right, so we know that there are a couple of key SR levels on ETH, all right, 415, 440, and 480. 415 being the nearest one right here, which is a horizontal level. As you can see, price is currently at 403. Unless ETH breaks above this area and holds like this, it doesn't mean anything because we've tried this before right here. We hit almost to a high of 419, 420, and then we rolled way the hell down here back to 370. Okay. It's quite possible that maybe we do that again and roll over to the downside. Again, this is just so you guys can be safe with your capital in terms of taking long positions in ETH. This is the only reason why I'm talking about this scenario. Okay. So the options are like this. You wait for ETH to break out. Okay. Break above 415 and hold. Then you take the trade from this 415 area to 440. And more than likely, if we're getting to 440, I would be pretty confident in saying we're probably getting all the way towards this high and quite possibly higher, quite possibly $500, maybe a little bit higher because we have the ETH 2.0 coming up. I know there was some Ethereum that was moved today on certain contract address. So I know there's a lot of stuff developing in the FA or the fundamental aspect, right? The other thing that you can do, like I said earlier, right? You can add right here at 403, open a small position. You can also buy on the pullback towards 396, 397, wherever that pivot was. And so you can add on that. Or you can also add on the way up at 415. Okay. Let's check out Link real quick. Link is kind of doing the same thing, but remember, Link also had a lot of sort of damage inflicted in terms of its own respective technicals. right? Because what we really saw was Link put in a high of almost 12 and a half, or actually $13 almost up here, went all the way down to 978. So in a span of, I think, what is it, 6 to 10 days, it went down 24%. Now, I like Link, and personally, I don't mind buying where we are right now, nor do I mind, adding a little bit lower, or especially if we start breaking past, 11.75, maybe $12, I wouldn't mind adding above that. It's the same concept like I just explained with ETH, right? You can add right here where we are, so you don't feel like you're missing out on this, nice $24 discount. You can also add if price, say, comes down a little bit. So if we throw on the pivots right here, right? So pivot perspective, you could say, okay, we're way the heck down here around the S2. If price, say, comes back to the S2 again, maybe you want to add again. Honestly, though, I don't think price should be coming down to the S2. So I think structurally, Link is a little different. But you could make the argument that, okay, if price gets above the S1, then you want to add a little bit more. And that's a fair argument too. And you could say then if price gets above 1160, 1175, you can add some more. So I'm trying to show you the different options that you have available to add on strength and to add on weakness. Are there any other questions that I can answer? Anything else y'all want me to talk about? By the way, I posted this paper about digital currency payments. I barely got to read any of it today, but I do plan on reading it, tomorrow. So make sure y'all read it. It's in the announcements page right here. All right, make sure y'all check it out. We can see ETH again coming back down, but again, there's really no distinction in knowing if this thing is going to break, because we're kind of continuously hammering at this 14,140 area, and it doesn't make me feel that confident that the fact that Bitcoin hit way the heck up here at 14,275, if there were a lot of sellers up here in this area, well, we shouldn't have come back up here numerous times with these wicks that you're seeing on the follow-up. We should have done something like this, rolled over, put in a lower high, and then start rolling over. Now, of course, I don't expect that to happen, right now, but we should have been on the path of doing that. Again, maybe tomorrow we see, Link put in a lower high, right? Maybe it does, like this, and then starts rolling to the downside. In which case, again, I think, the short opportunity opens up. Okay. All righty. Any big exo charts or trading light walls? No, not at all, man. I posted some charts this morning. I literally did not see anything. It's not anything going on. And I looked on Binance Futures, BitMEX, Bitfinex, and Coinbase. So honestly, nothing really to talk about. But if I see anything, because what I do on my trading light is I set up alerts for only big orders coming through. So for example, I don't really want to pay attention to 10, 20, $50,000 orders. Show me the orders that are 100,000, 250,000, 1 million. And then, I want to be paying attention. Chaos is asking, any big inflows or outflows from exchanges? Nope, I haven't seen anything. Usually I talk to Ki Young Ju, and I follow him on Twitter. So he and I kind of talk back and forth. We have a little Telegram group, and if he sees anything, he'll point it out, whether it's on Twitter or the Telegram group. And we haven't seen anything, honestly. Maybe a little bit of movement on the inflows of BTC coming to exchanges, but nothing meaningful, right? It's not like we're seeing massive influx of big Bitcoin being loaded up on exchanges to sell. So that's kind of where we are. Okay. All right. Well, that's it, folks. I hope you found this analysis helpful. Y'all take care. Have a good evening. Please do rewatch the video. Make sure you mark out your charts. And until then, I will catch up with y'all tomorrow. Cheers and have a good rest of the day.